Welcome, brave soul, I am the forgotten storyteller. Before we begin, tap that like button if you dare, and drop a comment below telling me where in the world you're listening from. And if you make it to the end of this video, I hope to see you in the next story. I hope you're ready, because I am. Let's begin. Listen closely. Not every monster lurks in shadows. Not every predator has fangs or claws. Sometimes, it waits inside something ordinary. Something meant to show you who you are. But what happens when the reflection staring back isn't you anymore? Our story today begins in blood and betrayal, almost 2 centuries ago, in the thick, humid night air of Haiti. The villagers had bound the sorcerer with hemp rope, his wrists twisted raw, his chest slick with sweat and spite. They dragged him beneath the hanging roots of a dead banyan tree, their torches trembling in the wind. The people had feared him for years, whispered his name like a curse. He had stolen crops with a glance, sickened children with a murmur, and brought storms with the strike of his staff. But now justice had come. His name was lost to history, erased by those who despised him, but his hatred, his fury, his hunger for vengeance, that would not be buried so easily. As the rope tightened around his neck, he spat into the earth, muttering in tongues no villager could decipher. With the final strength of a dying man, he pressed his bloodied hand against the smooth, hand-carved obsidian mirror clutched beneath his rags. His voice, ragged but unshaken, rose over the crackling flames. "If I cannot live, I will still see. If I cannot return, I will still take." The villagers jeered, throwing stones. But something changed in the air, so thick it could be swallowed. The mirror in his grasp pulsed, breathing like a lung. And as the rope pulled, as the sorcerer's final breath left him, a scream not made of flesh but of spirit tore through the night. The villagers panicked, sealed the mirror inside a wooden chest, and buried it deep beneath the banyan's corpse. Yet even as the soil pressed down, the mirror whispered a vow to set a curse. He would wait. Time is cruel, but not to obsidian. The banyan tree withered into dust. Rain eroded the soil. And decades later, the chest was unearthed by treasure hunters who had no idea what they carried back across the ocean. The mirror passed through hands like a plague. A French collector locked it in his gallery, only to be found months later with his face smashed into the glass. Yet no shatter, no crack. His eyes stared out, frozen wide, as though something had been stolen from him. An antique dealer in New Orleans purchased it next. His family complained of whispers in the night. He laughed, until one dawn he was discovered rocking in a chair, muttering in Haitian Creole, though he had never spoken a word of it before. He wasted away, staring into the mirror, until nothing but skin and bone remained. It drifted through estate sales, dusty shops, forgotten attics. Always avoided, yet never destroyed. Those who tried saw hammers bounce off like rubber, flames gutter to ash, bullets ricochet as if the glass itself were laughing. And worse, those who persisted often disappeared, leaving only bloodstains near the mirror's frame. Stories spread in hushed tones. It doesn't just show you, it learns you. And one day, it replaces you. And now, our story takes us to the quiet backroads of rural Louisiana. Cypress trees lean over swampy water. Cicadas drone in the dusk. And in a small weathered cottage lives Eleanor Vance. She is 65, a retired schoolteacher. Her hands tremble with arthritis, her eyes dimmed but still sharp behind thick glasses. 4 months she has been alone. Her husband, her only companion in a quiet life, had passed not long ago. The cottage is too still, too empty. The silence weighs on her like a wet cloth. Eleanor never believed in fate. But on a gray Saturday morning, while browsing a dust-choked estate sale, she stops before a strange object leaning against a wall. A mirror, tall but narrow, framed in black carvings that almost seem to writhe if you look too long. Something pulls her. Not beauty, no, it is too dark, too heavy for that. But there is intricacy, history and depth. She buys it for far less than it's worth. That night, as she leans the mirror against her bedroom wall, she feels the first shift. At first, it is subtle. Her reflection seems to blink a fraction late. A faint fog on the glass, though her breath never touched it. And a whisper, so faint she thinks it's the wind slipping through the shutters. The dead never truly die. Her heart stutters. But she pushes it aside. It is just grief, she tells herself. It's just loneliness. But then, the dreams begin. In the dream, she stands before the mirror. The cottage behind her looks the same. But the glass is dark, so dark, except for one figure. Her own reflection, except its eyes are hollow pits, dripping shadows like ink. It reaches for her. But when she wakes, her hand is pressed against the mirror's cold surface. She had been standing there, sleepwalking. Every night, the same hour, 3:17 a.m. She rises from bed without knowing, drawn like a moth to flame, her body stiff, her breath shallow, her hand resting on the mirror's edge. Then the cat dies. Her beloved companion, whiskers trembling, had hissed at the mirror for days. Then one morning, Eleanor finds it sprawled on the floor, its eyes gouged out, its little body rigid, pointed directly at the glass. She screams, holding it to her chest, rocking back and forth. And in the mirror's reflection, her reflection smiles and then waves, while Eleanor herself still sobs. Her knees nearly give. The truth crashes in. Something inside is learning her, copying her, preparing to walk free. Eleanor's quiet grief now becomes dread. But instead of breaking, instead of surrendering to despair, she begins to watch. She is 65. She has buried parents, siblings, a husband. She knows what loss feels like, but she also knows how to endure it. The mirror may have chosen the wrong woman. Still, she must understand. Eleanor begins to haunt the places she once would have avoided. The dusty corners of the town library, hidden shelves in occult bookshops, and once, the dim backroom of a spiritualist in New Orleans who smells of rum and incense. Piece by piece the story forms. She learns of the sorcerer, of the curse, of the mirror's trail of bodies, and of the whispers, forged with Haitian Vodou, sharpened with West African sorcery, darkened by European demonology, a hybrid of horrors not meant to exist together. One frail priest, older even than she, listens to her trembling account. He shakes his head, voice a rasp. You cannot fight it with faith, he warns. It feeds on fear. But it fears those who understand the dark. Eleanor returns home in silence. His words twist inside her chest. She is not strong. She is not young. But she is resolute. If it feeds on darkness, then she must master it. And so begins Eleanor's descent. Her attic becomes her sanctuary, the place where grief hardens into resolve, where quiet Eleanor Vance begins to change. At first it is subtle. A candle burning beside the mirror, not for comfort but for observation. A notebook filled with scrawled notes in shaking handwriting, transcriptions of the whispers, the shapes she sees flicker in the glass. But weeks turn into months. She travels discreetly to New Orleans, where the French Quarter hides root workers behind colorful facades. They see her age, her frailty, and shake their heads. But when she speaks, clear, steady, unwavering, they see something else, willpower like tempered steel. One man, a reclusive houngan with cataracts clouding his eyes, agrees to teach her. Not to worship, not to summon, but to bargain, to understand. His voice is low, gravel like stones in a riverbed. You are not young, he tells her. The spirit sees you as brittle. But brittle wood still burns hotter than green branches. You may yet become a flame. Eleanor learns to draw vevs, spirit symbols etched in chalk, ash, even in blood when the rite demands it. She learns offerings, rum, cornmeal, bones from animals long dead. She whispers prayers in Creole with her aging tongue, feeling the words vibrate against her teeth. Her altar grows, not a thing of beauty but of power. Stones, bones, salt, black feathers. The room smells of smoke and iron. And within Eleanor something shifts. Her kindness remains but sharpened. Her grief no longer cripples, it fuels. The woman who once taught children to read, who baked pies for neighbors, who smiled at strangers in the market, is gone. What stands in her place is a vessel of will, a sentinel preparing for war. Its reflection twists more violently now. At night, the glass fogs with frantic breath. It scratches from the inside, leaving faint cracks that heal as quickly as they appear. Sometimes Eleanor swears she hears it growl, low, guttural, inhuman. But Eleanor does not falter. Each time it tries to lure her, with visions of her husband alive again, his arms wide, his voice warm, she does not step closer. She steps back. She writes it down. She studies the lie. Not yet, she whispers. Not ever. Her hands tremble with arthritis, her bones ache in the winter cold. But when she stares into that mirror, she is immovable. The months of preparation lead to one night, the new moon. A night when the sky itself is empty, the veil thinnest. Her attic is transformed into a battleground. The floor is covered with a vev drawn in salt, ash, and shards of crushed obsidian. 7 black candles flicker, casting shadows that bend and writhe. The air tastes of copper and smoke. Eleanor kneels before the mirror, her palms bleeding from shallow cuts she made herself. Blood is part of the offering. Not sacrifice of life, but sacrifice of comfort. Her voice begins soft, trembling at first, then stronger. She chants in Creole, in Fawn, in words she cannot fully understand but knows she must speak. The mirror quakes against the wall, rattling the floorboards. The reflection begins to warp. Her face stretches, elongates, eyes hollowing into pits that drip shadow like tar. A voice answers. Not hers. Not human. Deep, resonant, wet as if spoken from lungs filled with water. Old woman, you think you can hold me? You are so fragile. The glass cracks, splinters spreading like veins, though none break through. A storm wind howls through the attic, though the windows are sealed. The candles gutter but do not die. It tempts her as it has tempted so many before. First, her husband, standing in the glass. Smiling, his voice a whisper. Ellie, come with me. You don't have to be alone anymore. Her lips tremble. Tears spill down her cheeks. But she shakes her head. You are not him. You will never be him. The reflection shifts. Now she sees herself, young again, hair shining, body unbent by age. Youth, vitality, beauty. The mirror whispers, step closer. All this can be yours again. A second life. Eleanor lets out a broken laugh. 65 years. 65 hard-earned years. Why would I throw them away for vanity? The reflection darkens. Twists into a monstrous face, teeth too long, eyes as black as pits. It screeches, the sound piercing her skull. But Eleanor keeps chanting, her voice breaking, reforming, stronger still. You took lives. You stole faces. But I am not afraid. I am 65 years old. I have lived. And I will not let you steal another breath. The candles blaze higher. The glass begins to drip as though melting, thick black ooze sliding down its frame. Eleanor knows the truth. The ritual cannot destroy it. That was never the goal. The only way to contain it is to give it what it craves most. A living soul. Not forced, not stolen, but willingly given. Someone must enter the mirror. Someone must take its place. She had known this since the first night she read the Haungan's old book. She has carried that truth like a stone in her chest. And she is ready. Her voice softens now, the chant fading into a whisper. She stands, aching bones screaming, but her spine straight as iron. She presses her palm flat against the glass. The reflection does not mimic. It reaches back. Its hand is cold, damp, sticky like tar. I offer myself, Eleanor says. Her voice does not break. Not to serve. Not to surrender. But to guard. To keep you caged. The mirror snarls. The glass shatters in silence, shards folding inward into a whirlpool of black fog. Her reflection leans out, not monstrous now, not smiling, but waiting. Eleanor takes one step, then another. Her heart pounds like a drum. She thinks of her husband, of her students, of her quiet life. And then she thinks of the silence after he died. The silence she thought would kill her. And she smiles. As she steps forward, the reflection seizes her wrist and yanks her into the glass. The attic fills with a blast of icy wind. The candles extinguish all at once. And then, silence. The mirror stands whole. Its surface milky white, opaque as bone. Eleanor Vance is gone. Weeks pass. The cottage is sold, its attic scrubbed clean. No one speaks of Eleanor Vance. Some neighbors whisper she left quietly, gone to live with distant relatives. Others insist she simply disappeared. No one notices the mirror, wrapped in a quilt, carried out with the rest of her belongings. It ends up in a yard sale, leaning against a picket fence, its frame dulled with dust, its glass reflecting the pale Louisiana sky. A young couple strolls past, laughing, carrying coffee in paper cups. They pause before it. Creepy thing, the woman says, tilting her head. The man grins. Creepy, yeah, but look at that carving. Old as hell. Would look killer in the apartment. They haggle. They buy it cheap. And that night they hang it on their wall. For a while it is just a mirror. Just a reflection of smiles, quick kisses, ordinary evenings. Until the woman notices a flicker. Not monstrous. Not sinister. Just a face. A face she doesn't recognize. She leans closer. The glass fogs faintly with her breath. And there, behind her reflection, an older woman. Pale but calm. Her eyes sharp, unblinking. Her lips pressed tight. Eleanor Vance. The woman gasps, stumbles back. Did you see that? She asks her partner. He frowns. See what? She looks again. Eleanor is still there. Eyes locked to hers. And slowly, ever so slowly, she raises one finger to her lips, signaling for the woman to be quiet. The young woman shivers. Something in Eleanor's eyes is not cruel, not predatory. It is something heavier. Something like a warning. Eleanor turns within the glass. And behind her, so far so deep in the foggy distance, shapes pace. A figure with hollow eyes, its mouth stretched too wide. It slams against the inside, silent but furious. It claws the fog. But Eleanor stands between it and the surface. She is a prisoner, a sentinel, a warden. Days pass, weeks. The couple grows used to the mirror. Sometimes the young woman swears she hears faint breathing near it at night, as though someone were standing close. Sometimes she catches Eleanor's silhouette lingering when her partner isn't looking. Once, just once, she sees Eleanor's lips move. No sound, but the words clear, etched across the silence. Keep the mirror covered. She drapes a cloth over it that night. But curiosity is a hungry thing. One evening, her partner pulls the cloth away with a laugh. It's just a mirror, babe. You're spooking yourself. The mirror stares back, silent. But in its depths, a hairline crack forms at the very corner of the glass. So fine it might be missed. Eleanor's eyes widen. She presses her palms flat against the inside, shaking her head. Her mouth moves in frantic silence. The couple does not see. The shadow pacing behind her, it does. Late at night, when the apartment is still, when the couple is asleep, the mirror breathes. A fog spreads across its surface, pulsing, rising, falling. And if one leans close enough, closer than they should, there is a whisper. The dead never truly die. It slides into dreams. It scratches at the edges of thought. It waits. But now the sorcerer is not alone. He has Eleanor Vance. Inside the mirror, the world is endless fog. A prison with no floor, no ceiling, no horizon. The air is heavy, metallic, like breathing rust. Shadows writhe in the distance, circling like sharks. Eleanor stands firm. Though her body is gone, her spirit wears its shape, age, wrinkles, frailty intact. She does not fear it. She embraces it. The sorcerer snarls, pacing, clawing, rushing at her with teeth like daggers. But every time she raises her hand, etched with salt and blood, and it recoils. She cannot kill it, but she can hold it. She knows this prison will last longer than her, longer than flesh or bone. But she made her choice freely. Her life had been quiet, ordinary, filled with small joys and deep sorrows. She had lived. She had loved. And she will not let this thing steal what others might yet have. In the silence, she whispers to herself, "It is quiet in here, but I am still awake." The story doesn't end with screams. It doesn't end with blood or shattered glass. It ends in the living room of a young couple, laughing at something on television, unaware of the war unfolding inches away. The mirror hangs on the wall, just waiting, reflecting only what it is shown. But if you stare long enough, too long, you may notice something. A quick flicker followed a breath, a hand pressing softly from the inside, and a crack so fine it might be mistaken for nothing at all, slowly creeping further across the glass. The air grows colder. And then, faintly, almost too faintly to hear, a voice from inside the mirror. "It's quiet in here, but I'm still awake." Let us know in the comments if you've seen something strange in a mirror that should not be there. Would you keep it in your house?
Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare.